a man on the run, a murder he didn't commit, and a nation that couldn't look away. Before finales made headlines, The Fugitive stopped America cold. One man's story captivated America. A doctor wrongfully convicted of murder, hunted across the country, and racing to find the one man who could clear his name. The network called it too dark. Executives feared it glorified criminals. But it became one of the most groundbreaking shows in television history, with a finale that changed everything. This is the untold story of The Fugitive, the 1960s thriller that redefined television. It all started with a question. What if you took the spirit of a Western hero and dropped him into the chaos of the modern world? Roy Huggins had already helped shape the golden age of TV westerns with Cheyenne and Maverick. But in 1960, after leaving Warner Brothers, he began to imagine a different kind of outlaw, not a gunslinger, but a man on the run from justice itself. I wanted to have a hero who behaved like a Western hero, who was totally free, had no permanent residence or commitments, no responsibilities, Huggins later said. The result was a rough concept for The Fugitive, but when he started pitching it to friends and colleagues, the reaction was brutal. Fellow writer Howard Brown, who had worked with Huggins on Maverick, called it a terrible idea. His agent wasn't any kinder. The feedback was so discouraging that Huggins nearly quit television altogether. I was so upset, I decided to enter graduate school at UCLA to study political theory. I was through with television, he said. But television wasn't through with him. In 1963, ABC's Vice President of Program Development reached out to Huggins with an urgent request. The network was struggling in the ratings and searching for a breakout hit. Roy reluctantly agreed to meet with ABC President Leonard Goldenson and a roomful of top executives. There, he pitched a bold new idea. A doctor, wrongfully convicted of murder, escapes custody and goes on the run, hunted while trying to prove his innocence. Those in the room showed little interest in the idea. The head of programming left the room in the middle of the pitch. After Huggins finished his presentation, the room went silent, waiting for Goldenson to respond. Roy, Leonard said, that is the best idea I have ever heard for a television series. Finally, someone believed in his idea. There was just one problem. Huggins wasn't available to produce it. He had already enrolled at UCLA, so he sold the rights to ABC, and the network passed the project to Quinn Martin, best known for producing The Untouchables. Martin took over as executive producer, with Huggins receiving credit as a series creator. While Huggins had laid the foundation, Martin shaped The Fugitive into the fast-paced, suspenseful show viewers came to know, adding elements like the iconic narration and a relentless Lieutenant Gerard. That narration, voiced by William Conrad, gave the show its distinctive tone from the moment it premiered on December 17, 1963.
Fleeing from the obsession of Lieutenant Philip Gerard, hunter of the man, husband of the woman.
Martin also knew exactly who he wanted in the lead. He had seen David Janssen and Richard Diamond, Private Detective, and was struck by his quiet intensity. A perfect blend of edge and empathy. There was no drawn-out search. Janssen was the right man at the right time. Janssen quickly proved to be the show's backbone, appearing in nearly every scene, working grueling 12 to 14-hour days. Co-star Barry Morse called him one of the hardest-working actors in the USA. But the workload took a toll. Janssen reportedly suffered from chronic insomnia, drank heavily, and smoked up to 4 packs a day. Crew members often recalled him trying to stay alert between takes, sometimes catching a quick nap or pacing the set. Despite the strain, he remained intensely focused and committed to the role. Barry Morse brought unexpected complexity to Lieutenant Gerard. He didn't want the character to feel like a one-dimensional villain, so he played Gerard as a man obsessed with following the rules, no matter what. That gave their on-screen cat and mouse game real tension, and viewers were all in. Fans would actually yell at Morse in public. "You dumb cop! He's innocent!" He took it all in stride, saying later, "Hey, it's better than being ignored." Casting the one-armed man was a masterstroke. Bill Raish, an actor and former stuntman, had lost his right arm in a merchant marine ship fire during World War II, a real-life trauma that gave his character a haunting presence. The show never explained how the one-armed man lost his limb, and that mystery only added to his menace. Raish's scenes were brief, but his face and silhouette stuck with you. In one surreal moment, LAPD officers actually stopped him during filming, thinking he matched a wanted suspect, an instance of life imitating art. Guest stars added spark and variety. Big names like Charles Bronson, Robert Duvall, and Diane Baker appeared in one-off episodes as friends, foes, or somewhere in between. While The Fugitive delivered tightly crafted drama on-screen, life behind the camera was anything but calm. Executive producer Quinn Martin ran a tight ship. Scripts were rewritten quickly, guest stars rotated constantly, and episodes were shot on tight budgets and even tighter deadlines. It was a relentless pace, but it kept the machine running. Writers and directors were under pressure to walk a tonal tightrope. Every episode had to balance suspense with morality, action with emotional truth. Martin was especially protective of the show's moral framework. The show's visual continuity posed its own challenges. Though Kimble was constantly, quote, on the run across the country, nearly every episode was shot in California. That meant Los Angeles neighborhoods had to stand in for Indiana, Arizona, New York, or New Mexico, sometimes with visible foothills in the background of supposedly flat Midwestern towns. As costumer Stephen Lodge later recalled, "You had to sell the illusion week after week. We didn't have the money to go anywhere, but we had the actors and the writing, and that was enough." The Fugitive wasn't just a show about a man under pressure. It was made by a crew feeling the pressure every single day. And the tension didn't stop when the cameras did. Behind the scenes, the show stirred debate, especially over its possible connection to a real-life murder case. Many believed it was inspired by the case of Dr. Sam Shepard, an Ohio physician convicted of murdering his wife in 1954, who claimed a bushy-haired intruder was a true killer. Though creator Roy Huggins denied any direct connection, saying, "If it was inspired by the Shepard case, I was unaware of it." The parallels fueled ongoing debate. When Shepard's conviction was overturned in 1966 and he was acquitted in a retrial, the same year The Fugitive won an Emmy, the comparisons only intensified. But audiences weren't just hooked by the plot, they were drawn in by the atmosphere. Pete Rugolo's tense, jazz-infused theme gave The Fugitive its emotional heartbeat. Rugolo, a prominent jazz composer, was brought in by Quinn Martin's music supervisor to score the series. At the time, he was under contract with Universal Studios, which meant he couldn't be present on set. Instead, he was handed the pilot script and a summary of the show's concept. From that alone, Rugolo crafted the now iconic opening theme, along with a full library of cues that covered everything from suspense and action to melancholy and quiet introspection. The mix of original scoring and stock music worked, giving The Fugitive a unique soundscape that felt urgent, moody, and cinematic. And audiences responded. TV Guide named the series the best new show for the 1963-64 season. The Fugitive quickly became one of ABC's biggest hits, pulling in 21 million viewers each week. By its second season, The Fugitive had become a ratings juggernaut, landing at number 5 nationally with a 27.9 Nielsen rating, a massive win for the then struggling ABC network. Its semi-documentary style and black and white cinematography gave it a gritty, dramatic edge, setting it apart from lighter fare like Bewitched. The show attracted top talent, with guest stars like Ozzie Davis and Diane Ladd, keeping episodes fresh. Its formula, Kimble in a new town, facing new dangers under new identity, kept viewers hooked. In 1966, The Fugitive won the Emmy for Outstanding Dramatic Series. A year earlier, producer Alan Armour received an Edgar Award from the Mystery Writers of America. Years later, TV Guide would crown it the best dramatic series of the 1960s. Season 3 was another ratings success, as the series averaged a 40% share in its 10 p.m. time slot on Tuesdays. That meant 40% of all households were watching The Fugitive. In April 1966, ABC executives announced Season 4 would be televised in color, and, in an attempt to draw more young viewers, revealed plans to give Richard Kimble a young son. The switch to color was launched as planned, but the network soon realized saddling Kimble with a son was not going to work. Then came the two-part finale, The Judgment, broadcast August 22nd and 29th, 1967. In the climactic scene, Kimble finally confronted the one-armed man atop a tower in a deserted amusement park. But it was a neighbor's eyewitness testimony, not just the killer's death, that ultimately cleared his name. It was a bold, unprecedented move. Most network shows at the time avoided finality, fearing it would hurt syndication. But producer Quinn Martin believed the show's millions of viewers deserved a real ending, and he was right. The Judgment shattered records, with Part 2 pulling in a staggering 72% audience share and a 45.9 Nielsen rating, numbers unheard of for a scripted drama. The finale didn't just end the story, it redefined how television could end. So why did The Fugitive end? It wasn't ratings, it was David Janssen's exhaustion. After carrying the show for 4 years, often appearing in nearly every scene, he declined a 5th season. Rather than drag things out, ABC and Martin chose to go out on top, with a finale that became one of the most watched in television history. But The Fugitive didn't just end with a ratings triumph, it changed the rules. Before it, TV dramas avoided serialization. There were no long arcs and no emotional resolutions. This show dared to build tension over years, and then deliver a true ending. That moment redefined how stories could be told on television, and its influence is still felt today, in every show that takes its audience on a long journey with a meaningful payoff. The Fugitive wasn't just a television show, it was a turning point. A risky pitch, a wrongfully accused man, a nation that couldn't look away, and a finale that stopped America cold. In an era of tidy sitcoms and formula cop shows, The Fugitive ran in the other direction. Bold, serialized, and emotionally charged. It didn't just tell a story, it proved that television could feel real. 60 years later, we're still chasing what it started.